it's Kayla. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I will be going over my November wrap up. Everything I read this month and November. Let's get Goodreads up and rocking. You would think after everything else I set up, I would have had Goodreads ready to go. I do not. So, this month, I read a whopping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 books. Now, some of those were audiobooks and some of them were also novellas. So, you know, they're a little bit shorter so they were faster to get through. But, I didn't mean to go back. We started with the Lakefront Billionaire series. I've got my Goodreads up to help me remember the 19 books. It's so many. We started here. So we gave Love Redesigned a 5-star. Let's put her over there. It was great. I loved it. This Julian and Dahlia, they were really cute, really great. I'm pretty sure I made a series of you about these, so if you want to hear more about how I felt about these, go check them out. I gave book 2, Love Unwritten. There we go. I wanted to say rewritten because of the first one. 5 stars as well. Again, if you want to hear more about those, please go check out my review for them. I listened to Dracula, classic Dracula. I gave it a 3. I get how it's considered like a horror cult classic, and I could see how it might have been scary back when it was written, but it's not scary. I found it pretty boring, and I listened to it as an audiobook. So I don't know what I would have done if I had to read it. So I really hope, I always have a fear that my camera is blurry. So Dracula got a 3. The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I also listened to it as an audiobook because of the hype and getting ready for the Wicked movie. I was super excited, so I listened to The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. I gave it a 4. I would have put it up there. I gave it a 4. It's a children's book, and it was a children's book. I'll give it that. That's why it wasn't a 5. So it wasn't like, you know, amazing, the best thing ever, because it was a kid's book. But it was still really cute to listen to. Then we do have Wicked, book 1. Let me tell you what. It got a 3. It got a 3 stars. And I had high hopes for this book. I knew that the book was not like the musical. I had been warned. I had heard that in advance. I understood the assignment. Okay. So going into this, I did not expect the musical. I expected to see some of the characters we saw in the musical. I did not expect the musical. Oh my goodness. So when people say this book is weird, believe them. When people say this book is a dull, believe them. But that's not where our problem lies. Our problem lies in the back half of the book. The first half of this book, when Elphaba is at school, so when you're going through Elphaba's childhood and when she's in college at Shiz, amazing. I think that was amazing. It was so good. Then we see a little bit after Shiz. That was also good. It's when we get to the back half of the book. Now, I can't spoil because it is a pretty big one. A pretty big spoiler that happens about halfway through this book. Oh, it's the back half of this book after the spoiler event happens that this thing just goes to absolute garbage. And I couldn't stand the back half of this book. I tried, and I read quite a bit of the back of the book before I stopped and found a podcast of a group of people discussing the back half of this book. Like, they discussed the whole book, but I listened to them discuss the back half of this book because I couldn't handle my life. It was bad. It was just bad. And so that's why I gave it a 3, because I still love the front half enough to say give the book a shot. I'm going to put my hair up while we're here talking. I still like it enough to say please give the book a try. But the back half, in my opinion, is absolute hot garbage. And because I didn't like the back half of the book, I obviously did not read the rest of them, because there are 4 of them in total. So I did not go on. I didn't continue. We stopped at Wicked. Then I read, during my 24-hour readathon, I read Lucy Score's The Dead Guy Next Door, we're going to put her back here. She got a 4-star. This is through a Riley Thorne novel. I liked the first book. Lucy Score has good banter. She knows how to write. If you like fart jokes, this is it. There's so many. There's so many fart jokes in this book. But in my opinion, just, what are our names? Riley and Nick, I think? Yeah. They didn't vibe like some of her other characters. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not saying like that the writing in this book is bad, because the writing was still really good. I just didn't vibe with Riley and Nick. I didn't feel as strong of a connection for these two as I have in some of her other books. Which is why I also didn't continue this series either, because this is actually one of the ones that she wrote where everybody, all 4 books in this series follow Riley and Nick. So it's not like her other ones where each book is a different couple. They're all Riley and Nick. And since I wasn't really feeling the chemistry for Riley and Nick in book 1, and it's not like it's because it was a slow burn either, because that was not it. So that's why I was like, I liked this first book, but I did not want to continue. I didn't want to keep going. So we did stop. Early on that one. Where am I at? Then I read on Kindle. I got a lot of Kindle books coming up this way. So we have Bred by the Alien Prince. I gave it a 4. It is, if you like Ice Planet Barbarians and you like men together, here you are. Here you are. I think it was good. It was too long. I think this book was almost 400 pages. That's insane. Absolutely not. This book did not need to be that long. There was so many extra conflicts in this book that did not need to be there. That's why it was a 4-star. I liked the 2 main characters. I liked the 2 guys. I liked the alien-human conflict, differences between them and figuring it out, and mates and all that fun stuff. It has impreg, so be careful about that if that bothers you or anything. But it lost a star because it was way too long, and it did not need to be that long. Then we have It's Raining Men. I gave it a 5-star. It is about a woman in her 30s who runs a small town that's about to get hit by a really bad tornado. And so these 3 guys who are essentially tornado hunters go out and collect data on really big storms, and they come to her town to check out this storm. And she goes with them because she's like, I'm the mayor. I need to protect my town. I need to be there front row and center. So out we go. And so she goes out with them, and you find out, so it's 3 guys, 2 of them like each other, so they're kind of a thing. And you have your 3rd guy who just watches sometimes he plays around, other times he just watches, but he's mainly into women. So then she and him, our main girl and him, are mainly together, but then they all 4 can be together. But it's really just 2 dudes as a couple, and the 3rd dude and the main girl as a couple, who sometimes all play together, if that makes any sense. That's our dynamic. And yeah, that's it. It's cute, it's wholesome, you're just chasing tornadoes. It's just very plain and simple, which I needed after having 3 or 4 or 2 to 3 okay books in a row. So it was something I needed. Then, alright, we're gonna rapid fire this and talk about it as a whole. I know I've mentioned it in a previous video. I read the Mind F series, so I'm gonna go over them all one at a time, rapid fire their ratings, and then I'll talk about the series as a whole. So we have The Risk, 5 stars, Sidetracked, 5 stars, Scarlet Angel, 5 stars, All the Lies, 5 stars, Painted All Red, 4 stars. Okay. Now, you might be wondering, first off, they're all short. They're all essentially little novellas put together. But they all follow the same story. So you're probably thinking, why are 1 through 4 5 stars and the final book is a 4-star? As in my opinion, book 5 didn't need to exist. I think book 5 could have been lumped into book 4 and it would have been so much better. I understand book 5. I'm not here to spoil, so I'm not going to say spoilers for book 5. Obviously, that is the final book. But I just think that each book did really well about progressing and adding stakes. Because this is essentially about a girl who is a serial killer, but she's killing people that wronged her and her family in the past. And she falls in love with an FBI agent who solves serial killing crimes. So it's actually kickstart me on a Criminal Minds kick, and that's still happening. We haven't gotten out of it yet. We haven't gotten out of that phase yet. We're still in it. It's gonna reflect the next like 6 books I read as well, and then I spend all my free time watching Criminal Minds. It's pretty bad. Not in a bad way though, because Criminal Minds is amazing. You should watch it if you haven't, if you can handle that. But regardless, that's what these books are about. And so each book raises the stakes, gets a little bit darker, gets a little bit deeper as their relationship grows. And obviously he doesn't know until later. And so book 5, while I understand its point, we're at a head, we're at the most tense, our girl's the most angry. It didn't need a 150-page book. It didn't. And so when I got to that book, I was kind of like, ugh, why is this still going on? So that's just me. But I mean, if you think about it, each one's like 150-ish pages, maybe a little under. So that's like 700 to 800 pages right there. Because like there's 5 of them at 100 each plus the 50s. That's a big book if you consider it all one big book. So maybe I was just getting fatigued there towards the end, but it was a lot. It was a lot. But that was that series. Then I read Ranger, the 4th book in the Reynolds Protective. Ooh, I haven't had so much fun in a book in so long. I gave it 5 stars. I put it up twice. I know I did it in the last video it was in too. I put it up there twice. Ranger was amazing. So the Reynolds Protection series is promoted by the author as Criminal Minds meets romance, right? You smash them together and you get the Reynolds Protection. Each book, there's 4. Yeah, I just said that I read number 4. Each book their main character is based off of a different guy from the team, which is great, but I really only care about Reed romantically. I love the whole team. Like I said, I watch Criminal Minds. I've watched it in the past. I'm rewatching it now, and I'm having a blast. But romantically, I really only want to read about Reed. I love that. And so that's what Ranger's book is. His name is Ranger. And your main girl is a famous romance author who kills off the main character in one of her books because she took a lot of her personal life into her books, and something really big happened in her personal life, so then something big happened in her books. And the fans were not happy about that, as happens in the book community. So she went to Wisconsin? I know the town's called Wisdom, but I can't remember the state. I think it's Wisconsin. It's a small town just to get away, and she stays in the like above garage apartment of Rangers. Is it blurry? So she stays up there, and you watch them fall in love with each other. And the author, what's her name? Rebecca Sharp. She did an amazing job of bottling up Spencer Reed from Criminal Minds' personality and putting him into Ranger. Like, now that I'm rewatching Criminal Minds and seeing how much, like, she did such a good job, okay? Ranger just acts so much like Reed. And it was so cute to have a romance with him, because in my head, I was always building romance stories with Reed. So actually getting to read an official, like, book with a character who's just like him is so amazing. So, just, love it. Alright, we're going to skip a little bit. I read a whole series. There's 4 books in it. But so I was reading the physical books at home, but I was listening to an audiobook at the same time. I do have Audible now, everybody. Audible gave me like 3 months for like $1 a month, so like $3 for 3 months pretty much. And so I used one of my credits. But then also right now they're running a promotion where you also get $20 free of credit. So I was also able to buy a book as well. So I have 2 Audible books that I would have used a credit for. And then I've got a couple of other ones, but we'll talk about those down the road when I get to them. But I did finish an Audible book on Audible as well. So I'm going to talk about that first, so that way I can talk about the series as it go. Because I finished that one before I finished one of my physical books. It'll make sense in a minute. I listened to For the Fans. That was fun. That was fun. I have had it chilling on my Kindle for a hot minute because Larry recommends it all the time on her YouTube channel. And so it sounds good. Like, I used to read angsty, like, books all the time on Wattpad when I was, like, a teenager. And so this, like, fit right up in my alley. It's just an adult version of what I used to read. So I've been holding on to it, but there's just always another physical book that I wanted to read more. So when I got Audible and got a credit, I was like, bam, I can listen to it at work. So I did that. And I gave it a 5. I gave it a 5-star. You got your main guys. Both have different personality types. They both have their own personal problems that are different from the other. But and at first, because of that makes them hate each other. But really, the more they learn about each other, the more they realize why these negative things are really just crutches for the other. And they help each other solve them. I wish there was a little more angst. I wish there was a little bit more angst. Personally, I am an angsty girl when it comes to that genre. But I was having a good time. I really liked it. I was laughing at work quietly to myself. But yeah, I recommend it. 5 stars. Go check them out if that is your thing. She does have a very big blurb in the front about trigger warnings for the book. So go right ahead and check all those out if you have any. I don't. So I went straight into the book. But definitely figure that out. Okay. We're getting to the final 4 books. I rapid fire this. It's only been like 20 minutes. We have, because remember, I said I'm in a Criminal Minds kick. Book-wise and the show. I read The Naturals. Yeah, I finally read them. Me and my husband used to kind of do a book club thing where him and I were reading. We started off, we wanted to read the Game of Thrones books together, so we started reading those. And then afterwards, we were going to read The Naturals. But my hubby decided to jump the gun and buy this book first and start reading them. And so he read this one, and then he didn't pick up the rest of them. But I decided to read them. And I was actually sad. So he did finish this one, and then he bought and started this one. But he lost this one. This is book 2. He lost it. So I had to rebuy it when I also bought 3 and 4. And I did jump ahead of myself and buy all of them. So I read this one, loved it, and I bought them all before I started reading this one. I thought I read this one and then I bought the rest of them. No, I just said, all hands on deck. I want every book. So that's what we did. The Naturals, book 1, got a 5-star. You have your main girl, Cassie, and she is recruited by the FBI to work in essentially a teenage version of the Criminal Minds profiler team. Each one of them, so there's Cassie, Dean, they're profilers, so they're really good at just looking at a person's behavior, and reading it, and being able to tell you pretty much, everything about their life in one go. Then you have Michael. Michael is your emotions reader. He can look at a person and tell you everything they're feeling. You have Leah. Leah is your lie detector. She literally calls herself a human lie detector. She can tell when people are lying, and she's also very good at lying. And And then you have Sloane, who is your Reed. She's your really smart, awkward, shouts out random facts, really good with numbers personnel. It just got cloudy, and now I'm like, oh, this is giving Twilight vibes. That's definitely the vibe I got from the light change. I'm loving that. So yeah, book 1 is Cassie getting recruited and helping fit into the crew and solve a case. Book 2, I'll just put that over here. Book 2, Killer Instinct. It also got a 5 stars. I'm not going to spoil, which is probably actually why this video is a little bit short. I don't want to spoil any of these books because each one of these books ups the stakes. And I don't want to spoil it because they're so good. But this one, it's Cassie and the team. And you're gonna keep going with the team. You're getting a new case. Each book also, I won't do a spoiler, so let's see if there's one in the front. That's just rude. But each of these books has chapters from what's called You. So when Cassie is profiling and she inserts herself into the mind of the killer so that she can essentially evaluate how the killer is viewing the scenario to better understand why they did what they did. And so how the book kind of expresses that is giving you these chapters called You. And essentially it is the killer's point of view and what they're doing from a You perspective. And it is so fun. All of the books have those, and I look forward to the You chapters. So let's go into book 3. All in 5 stars. Right? Yep. 5 stars. Again, Cassie and the team, we're increasing our stakes. Things are getting tense. People actually die in this series, so be careful. No major character deaths. I will say that. No, it might be considered a spoiler, it might not, but nobody in the team and none of their guardians, because they are minors, so none of their guardians will die in this. But people they know and are around them will. Okay, keep that in mind. But again, it's the group, new case, things are getting intense. We're starting to learn about the big baddie, the big one. There is a big overarching plot that has to do with Cassie's mom. So we're getting more information about the big one and her mom. And then, oh, that makes sense. We'll get to that in a minute. This is Bad Blood, book 4. I gave it as well a 5 star. This whole series was a 5 star. This is your confrontation book. This is when we confront the big baddie. This is when we find out more about Cassie's mom. This is where everything goes down. Now, I just read the strip on the back and that's what helped me make sense. This book is big compared to all the rest of them. But in reality, the book itself is the same length as the other two, which are all of them really. They're all about 370 to 375 pages. So only this much of the book, this much of the book is the book. So then you're thinking to yourself, what does this back have? And I thought it was a preview for the novella. She wrote a novella for the Naturals called 12. And I thought this was just like a bunch of bonus stuff about that. No, this is the novella. Includes the bonus Naturals novella 12 in print for the first time. This is the whole novella. I didn't read it. I loved these books. I did not want to read the novella though. I did want to finish when we got here. This is a close. This is a wrap. This is the end. I don't even know what it's about. I couldn't even tell you what it's about. I just know this is a wrap. This series was great. It is young adult, so there's no spice. And so the author who wrote it also wrote The Inheritance Game. If you are a fan of The Inheritance Games, romance-wise, this does have a love triangle as a warning, just like Inheritance Games does. But, don't mind me, I'm just stacking my books in the back. If I don't know what it, the Inheritance Game, in my opinion, had a stronger romance. Not like the triangle, like the in-game romance was stronger than it was in the Naturals. Like, it is very much a side plot going into this book. So if you're someone going into this for a strong connection with the love triangle, a lot of the romance on that side, this isn't it. This is mainly a thriller with a little bit of romance in it. Not to say I don't like who Cassie ends up with. That is who I chose. I'm just saying, if you're coming into this after Inheritance Game, thinking the love triangle is going to be as strong as it was in the Inheritance Game, it ain't it. But that's just my personal opinion. That's just me. And yeah, that was the month of November. I read so many books this month. I read a lot. I couldn't have done it without Audible or free Amazon Kindle books, like audiobooks, and text-to-speech on Amazon on Kindle. That helped me a lot this month. But that's a wrap. That was my month. I hope you found some new books to possibly add to your TBR, or can relate with me on books that I read that I enjoyed that maybe you enjoyed too, or maybe books that I didn't enjoy that you enjoyed, or that I didn't enjoy and you did enjoy. I don't know. Just hopefully you learned some stuff. Maybe we have some same opinions, maybe we don't, but that's okay. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you will subscribe, and see you again in my library next time.